Hey everybody, it's Mandy White Pearl here, founder of Expand Your Impact, and I've got a special guest on today's premiere episode of Expand Your Impact TV, and I've got Ron Pearl here for three reasons. One is he's just a really cool guy, and two, it's his birthday. So everybody say, Happy birthday, Ron! And three, he has stepped into the mentor role with the Expand Your Impact Insiders because I want him to use the knowledge he's got as being an entrepreneur for 10 plus years. And now that we are entrepreneur and entrepreneur married, there's different challenges that we go through, and there's also differences that it really supports me into stepping into a role of being a bigger entrepreneur and taking more risks. And we're bringing him into the group to be able to provide that male perspective on really holding to the principles, like the Access Conscious principles and David Deida principles and Law of Attraction principles in how we work sort of our money situations. So you want to start with, you were talking about, we were out here celebrating some of our EYI Insiders yay moments.
Yeah, so in the last group, we had, the round table, and everybody got to bring up their successes. And I think the first one that came up was Richard, and he had methodically worked through the Facebook ads program, gotten his website up, landing page, opt-in, and had really worked hard at the iterative process, and through following the program, had found success. And at the time of the meeting, he had reported a cash positive media buy, which for him was outstanding, because
Right.
that means
he spent money on Facebook ads, he got opt-ins, and then somebody immediately bought his awesome offers, what I call it, right? And he was, I made more money than I spent in ads. So,
and that's the point
job,
where
Rich.
you can scale. And then I think the current update is from that ad spend, he had a webinar, a live selling event, and sold half of the attendees, which is positive. It's still growing in the numbers, but that is the type of massive transformation that can take place when you dedicate yourself and follow a solid program. And to Richard's credit, he has been really on task with that. He hasn't let anything get into his way, and really been able to follow through with that, and that was a great celebration. And the other one that came to mind was Marcella, because I had known her as someone who had sort of convinced herself that she needed to sell her services on an hourly basis, and being the fashion femme that she is, she's providing this dramatic, transformative opportunity for speakers and business leaders to use their wardrobe as their calling card, especially when you're on stage. It's a very key opportunity, and by following your advice and your suggestions, following the transformative process where she focuses on the client's outcome, and uses that as the selling proposition, you're able to create a package, and the package is all encompassing. And so now she speaks to $5,000 and $10,000 clients and events, and she just seems to have so much more fun and so much more clarity, and that was never more obvious than her pulling a client out of the most recent live event that we had. She's doing her elevator speech and goes to a lunch and comes back with a check in her hand, and I don't think that's possible when you're still thinking of how many hours am I going to have to
the shift
work.
is really that she's that's a place of service that we really have watched her step into, is that big place of service. It's really a service to be able to say, I do all of these things, and when you work with me, you're going to get all of this, and it really lets you be you and get paid for it. Like, how does it get any better than that, right? So speaking of women being good at like all kinds of different things, one of the challenges that I see my ladies and the men really run into time and time again is they'll oftentimes at the point in their lives they're coming to me is they've done a lot of other things. They've been moms, or if they're dads, they're stay-at-home dads. They've had a corporate job, and they've tried a network marketing company or two, and it kind of now they're getting into coaching or trying to make money doing what this is. And oftentimes they come with that feeling of, my husband thinks I'm crazy because I keep trying to do too many things and I can't make it all work. And so some of that sort of that money drama comes into play, because when you are going out and getting clients who are greater fees, who will be happy to pay you $10,000 plus, those clients don't hang out all the time at networking meetings. Those clients don't hang out at free events. You have to make an investment, and really the best way to get to those clients, the fastest way to get to be in front of them, is to sponsor something. And so I've watched these conversations, and I remember it even happens with coaching. When I was being married previously, but I went to my husband and I said, I found somebody who I know can help me grow my business, and at that time it was an $8,000 investment, and I knew that walking up to him saying, can we pay $8,000 was a game changer, was a big deal. And a lot of my women say, I can't do that. My husband would never let me do that. So I know you and I have a different dialogue about those situations now. So just talk to me from a principled perspective of what goes through a guy's mind when the woman says, I'm going to spend $8,000 doing this.
It's an interesting situation, and as I listen to our group when they speak in front of us, I pay particular attention to their choice of words. I find that their choice of words when they're in the moment helps me sort of reflect and understand where their motivation, where their intention is. So I wonder if there's a false objection there, if they're using their husband as a reason to not step up, not step in, right? Or if it's a convenient, way of just sidestepping it, because maybe they're not trying to be bigger, or if they're dredging up something from the past. Maybe they've had a previous
usually
problem.
Some sort of like, I got into a lot of credit card debt, or I've tried a lot of different things and I haven't made a lot of money yet, and so there's that proving energy that ends up kind of having to happen. And on the empowered woman side of it, I look at it and say, how could you let your spouse, dictate whether or not you're going to be good at this? You believe in yourself and you figure it out. Like, our jobs as helping each other to be better people, which hopefully you're in relationships to do that, to create more together, not just to, I don't know. So one of the principles that I like from you is you say you can either be right or you can be happy. And so in this case, I think that's a lot of, maybe the woman doesn't want to even bring up the conversation because she's afraid of really getting to the root of a situation about what's really going on, and some of that's projecting. Like, I don't even want to get into the conversation. And so what I would say for the woman is get really clear on what you want, and trust and already know and believe in yourself. And then when you go to your spouse, you're just having a conversation about it, and not necessarily like trying to get their input or their buy-in or their blessing or any of that.
Well, in researching this, I went back through and David Nagel has a post where he talks about even splitting up bank accounts, because it's a reasonable, logical way to approach it. In that sometimes people have different money mindsets, and instead of trying to convince somebody that your way is right and their way is wrong and creating a conflict about it, that was a simple approach to handling it. And mostly the reason that was his suggestion is he wants to bypass that logistical issue and get to what's really important. Because there's belief, when you believe that you can create the money, that the money will appear, right? And in the case of one of our clients who this came up for more recently, she had demonstrated that she can create clients, and she is very confident with that. But it's been walking, right? And
I remember the time that I did it. I created, actually was supposed to go pay the coach, or wanted to, knew that I absolutely had to do it. Totally knew it was the thing to do. And I told the coach, I can't do it until I have the money. I went out and I created the money. Like, in a week, I put on a full-day workshop, I offered a high-ticket program, and at the end of the week, I had the money, and I went to the husband and said, you know, look, I have the money, this is what I want to do. And he's like, well, just because you created it once doesn't mean you're going to create it again. And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, but I realized that those conversations, you know, one, it was that the foundation of the relationship really had some problems. And second, like, not that I'm advocating divorce or anything like that, now I know how I could have had like a different conversation there. There's something, his own fear about money didn't have to be my fear about money. His own fear about whether I could do it didn't have to be my fear about doing it.
And so there's an underlying thing where I've run a business a long time, and just because I wouldn't necessarily mix up my decision making with my business with my decision making at home. But there's many of our clients that are starting where home is where this business is, and home is where this cash flow is happening from, and they have a difficult time sort of birthing the business as a standalone entity and birthing themselves as the decision maker.
Yeah.
And as my primary suggestion is that women need to be able to hold their own and be decisive about what it is they will do and what it is they won't do, and be willing to stand in that light and accept whatever comes from that and still walk forward, would be my suggestion.
And I like that, and that's a kind of a Dieta principle that we talk about a lot. So in my business, for most women, you are being very masculine. You have a lot of masculine energy that you're having to put on because you're managing people and you're asking for money, and that's just a lot of masculine
Decision
energy.
making generally.
So when you drop back into that wife role and you go to your husband and you're all like, you know, soft and feminine and asking for the money, you know, that really is not what you're saying works. What you're saying is be decisive, be strong, be confident, have that dialogue.
And one of the reasons that you're asking for permission is a result of your own uncertainty. Right? If you created the money, right, then you decide you need to invest it, you need to advertise, you need to do something. Like, what it is like you're not asking your husband about every decision you make. You're asking him about certain decisions that create enough uncertainty within you that it makes you queasy. And it's when you hit that ceiling that you ask for his blessing or ask for his help.
So
and if he doesn't have a day-to-day active role in what it is that you're doing, I feel like that's where she would be creating a problem. And if I'm the husband, I think my suggestion would be that you need to make that decision for yourself, and you need to make it with clarity. And if you need financial assistance in order to make something happen, you can come and say, can you loan money? Can we do it with the family? Can we do this? Once you're clear about what it is that you know needs to happen, then it's more about how do we do it and not should we do it. And so I would understand that you're clear in your case in your own mind. So once you're clear in your case in your own mind, the logistics sort of fall into place.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So if you guys have any questions, comments on that particular topic of, you know, men and women and finances, and I've had the same situation happen when the men stay at home and the woman's out working, and, you know, they have those conversations of when you're going to bring the money in, or, you know, how can you be making more sooner? When is that really going to figure it out? So any of these conversations about money, we'd love to keep having this dialogue with you on future episodes of what that looks like. But as you'll know, you'll see today I have the fancy eyes on, and we are headed to a Cirque du Soleil show to celebrate Ron's birthday. So we're going to sign off now. And any last words for our audience, our viewers?
What else is possible?
What else is possible? How's it get any better than that? All right. Bye, guys.